call the meeting to order, please, and we will begin with a pledge of allegiance. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I would ask you to remain standing for a moment of silence as we remember Joanne Hyde. And also, we will also keep in mind September 11th. Thank you. Roll call, please.
Trustee Downing?
Here.
Sprague? Here. Trustee Patton?
Here.
Trustee Donato?
Here.
Trustee Ryan?
Here.
And Trustee O'Malley? Here. And the mayor's here. And village attorney.
And the attorneys are.
Hmm?
And the attorneys are.
All right, very good. Okay. I'm going to go just a little bit out of order this evening, just a tad, not from what you've got, from what you've got listed there, okay? We have someone in the audience this evening who hasn't been here for the last meeting or so, and she has been missed. So it was recommended by one of the trustees at the end of the last meeting that we formally do something about that. So what I would like to do at this moment is recognize one B. Peterson. And I recognize you, you're B. Peterson. That's B. Peterson right over there, that's her, okay? And I would like to take just a moment, and I'm going to ask the board for a resolution. And what we have here is Beatrice Peterson, who reports news for the Hoosick community, attends local sporting events, football games in 30-degree weather, attends town and village committee meetings, and faithfully sits through hours of monthly meetings in the village, the school, and the town boards. We, the Board of Trustees and Mayor, thank Beatrice, AKA B. Peterson, for her reports of the Hoosick community and her involvement with the many events in our village, and transporting her Wood Park neighbors to elections and community functions. B, with her wealth of knowledge by attending all of the meetings in our community, has assisted many of her neighbors and acquaintances with her guidance concerning the where, when, and how of various issues. Be it resolved, the Village of Hoosick Falls Board of Trustees and Mayor, David Borge, thank you, B, for choosing to live in our community and wish you a happy and healthy retirement. I would like a motion to initiate this resolution.
Motion.
Ben? Second, Bob. Further discussion? Take a roll call.
Yes. Wholehearted yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
All right. B, we will get this signed. We will deliver this to you, but I'm going to hand it to you right now so you can take a look.
So we can take a picture in the paper?
Which paper would that?
Role reversal, right?
The reporter becomes the news.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank the board. Well, you moved it.
One way or the other. Nice to have someone else.
Oh, that was me. All right, so we're gonna sign copy.
Okay.
You're gonna get
Feel
speed.
free to stay till 11
There'll
or
be
12
shoes,
tonight.
yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
Give that to you, and we'll get that taken care of. Okay. Announcements, correspondence. Got everything in here, okay. The board received a very nice thank you from Bill Gaylord when Bill was recognized for his 50 years as leader of the band earlier in the summer. So it was a very nice note here. We're going to keep that. And we recognize Bill also with a resolution and thank him for all of his many years of service. The Hoosick Hullabaloo Music and Arts Festival will be held on September 25 through the 27th, including painting of the Hoosick Community Bench project. Those will be unveiled on the 25th at 6 p.m. in the Perry Room at the Armory. Also, okay, we're jumping ahead here. You got two together, so that threw me off. Just a reminder that the next village board meeting will be the second Tuesday, which is the 13th. The 12th is a holiday for lots of folks, including us. Oh, really? Maybe we can get that changed tonight. Anyway, but we will still be having, our village board meeting on the 13th. Hoosick Rising will hold its next meeting at 6 p.m. on Tuesday, the 22nd. It's going to be held at the Senior Center. So hopefully folks will be participating there. We've got a lot going on. Also want to mention that the Bennington Battlefield commemoration on September 22nd, the public participation in a historical and archaeological survey of the battlefield. So there's been a lot of information about that out there, so hopefully people will take advantage of that. Let me get the rest of these announcements that we have. And okay, already did that, took care of that one. Okay, that's the Hullabaloo weekend, we've done that. Okay, this is the battlefield, okay. And there's some information about that if you want to take a look. We'll have that right up here. Charlie probably took those pictures. Don't pay any attention to that end of the table. Don't pay any attention to that. All right, and we've got Mike, we're gonna do that. Okay. Constitution Day. Constitution Day is September 17th, in just a couple of days. The day on which the Constitution of the United States was signed in 1787, I should say. And that marks the beginning of Constitution Week, which is observed annually from September 17th to the 23rd. What's being asked is that any bells in the community, whether they be church bells or municipal bells, but any bells, they be rung. And I just want to go with the time here.
4 p.m.
Is it? Where am I? Okay, here we go. Yep. Bells across America will be rung simultaneously in all time zones at 4 p.m. Eastern Time on September 17. So again, if, Deb, if we can have that in the paper and make people aware of that, because the paper will come out after the 17th, but I think it was already in. I think I saw that.
It's in from last night's meeting.
Okay. All right. So again, we want to participate in that. Okay. Put that right there. Okay, I think we've got this somewhere else. Yeah, we've got that down there, so I'll get into that. We've got the race, we're gonna talk about that. We've got a fruit fly jumping around here, so. At least that's what she says there. All right. Okay. I wanted to mention that we recently learned that Bennington received a grant through I think it's through the federal government, for over $600,000, and it's a grant very similar to the Hayseed 3 grant here. The city of Troy, not too long ago, maybe a few months back, received a similar grant, and Hayseed 3 was very involved in helping them, assisting them with that grant process. So the greater Hoosick area, if you will, including Bennington, now has some tools to put forward and to assist with drug issues as well as alcoholism and other types of things. So that's really something when you think about a community our size being able to influence some other communities in a very positive way. But I just wanted to mention that, get that out there. OSHA is going to be, our friends from the federal government is going to be offering a 10-hour course in construction and in safety issues. There's no charge for this. It's going to be offered in Rensselaer on October 7 and 14. It will provide certification in these particular areas, so we're going to make this available for our staff as well to take a look at and see what's appropriate, what we need to do the highway department as well as the other departments as well, so we'll make sure you get a copy of that. Okay, the run we've got here, so I think that's everything. Let me just finish up right here, we've done the battlefield. Did I see students coming in? So we got a few, so you guys are here for your community services courses? Okay, all right, well, welcome. Always nice to have you here, and hope that turns out to be a meaningful experience for you, and get an idea of how local government interacts and how it works within our community, trying to make things better for everybody. So welcome. Anybody on this side? Nope? Oh, okay. All right, we've got a couple of retroactive approvals that we need to go through. And the board is aware of this and had given verbal approval. Reverend Mike Benoit had requested to use the park this past weekend, Saturday through Sunday, for an open prayer and music service. And he also brought his own equipment, which is substantial, lots of sound equipment. And he asked for permission to have a number of his parishioners stay overnight. And you will recall that we do have a local law that says no sleeping on village property, no overnights without board approval. Everything went well, went smoothly. The weather cooperated by sunrise. It was kind of dry for them. It was a little wet overnight, but they were able to do what they wanted to do, and it seemed to be a nice turnout. So we need to formalize that, and I would ask for a motion to cover both areas, the use of the bandstand, and he did provide an insurance binder, as well as the overnight stay. So
I'll make that
motion from
motion.
Bob?
Yep.
Bob? Bobby, Bob? Okay, further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that is carried, thank you. Another retroactive, a couple of weeks earlier, or about a week earlier, actually, Together Again, Joe Shaw and Company, requested use of the bandstand on, I think it was the 29th, on a Saturday, and they held a free concert. And if you were just within ear range, it was just absolutely amazing. Just great, great music. So hopefully people got a chance to enjoy that. Again, I would ask for a motion to formalize that.
Motion?
Ben?
Second?
Rick, second. Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Chief, do you know if Mickey is going to make an appearance this evening? No. Not gonna be able to? Okay, we'll do that at another time then. All right, thank you.
I was looking forward to that.
Mickey has his badge now. Okay. All right. We, just to make the board aware that the annual energy curtailment renewal, I needed to sign that and forward that, and that's where, and Bob, you're probably more familiar with this, but I think on an annual basis, we, for the water plants, I don't know if it's both plants or not, water and sewer, but we shut down for about an hour and just run off the generators. The village gets a very small amount in terms of revenue for that, but we have done that. That required a document that I had to sign to continue that forward. So I would like your approval to formalize that.
Motion.
Bob, thank you. Karen, second. Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you very much. Okay. We've had requests, actually, we've got two requests for two more road races. Or is it one more? How many have we got? Two? Two. I thought so.
Yes.
The second annual Stephen Colvin Memorial 5K walk, run, roll, rock and roll on October 10th, which would be Columbus Day weekend, starting at 9 o'clock. They did request a particular route, and it is not the standardized route that we have approved. But in their letter, they say that if the village has a standardized route that meets all the criteria, they would be happy to do that as well. We put the standardized route in place. We actually had two options. Bobby did a lot of the research and footwork, if you will, no pun intended, but following up with the different groups to see which was the most appropriate. We also wanted to make sure the highway department and the police department was okay with that. So what we're suggesting here is putting forth a motion to approve the race. The Highway Department and Police Department will be good with that, but that we go with our standardized route that does come out with the 5K. It meets the measurements and things like that, that really serious runners, you know.
Is that the same route that we use for the Wood Memorial
Wood
race?
Memorial.
Okay, yes.
Okay?
Will you be making notification of her?
We'll get back to her, yes, we will definitely do that, okay? So, is there a motion?
I'll make them.
Second.
Okay, Bobby first, Ben second. Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion's carried. We will get back to her right here in a minute. All right, where are we? Okay. Is that everything for announcements and such? We're good?
You wanna do the other race now too, or is that jumping out of line? It's towards the next, like,
I don't
fourth from
know.
the bottom.
Yeah, I'm not sure why that was.
It's,
Way down the bottom.
Oh, yes, the Ralph Sternberg.
Right.
signature.
Well, we've got that under new business, and maybe
Okay.
because it's a new request, but we'll hold off, we'll get through that. Yep, no, we found it, okay. People to be heard,
Yes.
please.
Hi, Keith Sibley, Village of Hoosick Falls. John, I think it was a few months ago, I posed a question to the mayor about directly purchasing videos from Charlie.
Hmm.
Now, I think you said you'd look into that. Since he's a private contractor,
Because he's a private contractor, right?
I can purchase them directly from him.
I think you can.
Okay. Well, that saves you a lot, or actually Ann a lot of trouble. So I won't be
Okay.
seeing you again, Ann. So that should be true across the board, no matter which town board. I know you don't speak for the town board, but it's a town
I
board.
can't speak for the town board, but what I looked at
They
in
have the same
terms of
agreement.
village law, yes, this is fine.
Okay, good,
Okay.
excellent, thank you. And, what's the other question? Oh, last month, I believe, I asked a question about Mr. Surdam, going up and inspecting Wood Park, I think, had a fire. Since he's the town supervisor, can he legally go up and inspect one of the buildings that he's in control of?
Well, I'm sorry, I don't think I.
No, you weren't here that night.
I beg your pardon, so
No.
I don't have an answer for you on that. Just tell me again what it is.
No, Mark Surdam is a town supervisor, and actually, he's in control of Wood Park and Wood Bridge. So, over in this side, he's the village building inspector. Can he legally go and certify that a property is okay? I mean, he's wearing two different hats.
Okay, and that's something that you're going to research, John?
Beg your pardon.
You're going to research that, is that what I
am.
heard you say?
Okay,
Okay,
okay, great, should I email you, or do you want my email, or?
No, you can email me, just if you'd like.
Okay, thank you, John, appreciate
any
it.
other people to be heard? Yes,
My name is Lori Jolen, and I'm here to ask permission for
could you just give your address, please?
a 9 Railroad Avenue
Thank you.
in the village. And I would like to know if on October 3rd, if I live on the upper end of Willow, on the corner of Railroad and Willow. It's a dead end, well, not a dead end street, but it's a small area. And there's three houses on the street that are occupied, and I'm asking if we could close that street from Railroad to Willow, just that little block in front of Helen Rustino's house. My house is right across the street. We're having a Renaissance wedding reception, and we have to have jousting on sawhorses, and the road is freshly paved, and it would be beautiful,
It's gonna be a lot of splinters.
So anyway, it's 50 people and no more than that, and that's pretty much it. But I'm requesting, because I have to set up, I'm requesting roughly 12 hours. And I spoke with Officer Davik, and he was on board, and I spoke with Neil Stoll, and he was on board. And I'm just here speaking with you.
Okay. Since the police department and the highway department are both represented, do either of you see any issues with that?
October 3rd.
What were the hours?
Well, probably about 8:30 in the morning until, we're doing a wedding reenactment. I got married in April in Florida, now we're doing the.
Ah, all right.
You're the one who's getting married?
Well, I'm already married, but I'm getting married again.
Again, you want a control car there to get you out of there?
No, I'm gonna stick with this one. I like him. You're gonna see a lot of people dressed up really funny.
Where are those gonna park?
Well, that's a good question. I was wondering if I could ask Henry Rubel. He has the factory behind my house. It's always vacant on this side of the parking lot. This side belongs to, I think, West Whedon, maybe? Yes.
Yep.
But the other side is always vacant. So I'm thinking of asking him, in fact, his daughter is going to be there and his son-in-law, if he would give us permission. He's done it in the past when we've done things, or just along the side of the street on the factory side.
How many guests?
Well, let-
50.
50?
right now, we're just working on closing that street.
Right.
So let's just work on that for the moment, and get that piece taken care of. You were, Chief,
I have
you
no
were good?
problem with that.
Neil, any issues with closing the street for that time period? Okay, is any questions from the board?
I got a question. You spoken with your neighbors already? They're okay with it?
They're all gonna be there. Mr. Christino.
Okay.
all
You
three of
invite
them are
everybody,
gonna be
that's
there.
the
That's the way to do it, right?
And the Ramports, actually, it was Judge Rustino that recommended that I close the street.
Excellent.
Do we have issues with insurance?
For closing a street, not that I'm aware of, but the board has approved closing streets for different events before,
Okay.
and block parties and such.
Okay.
Are you aware of any reference to insurance? No, I think, okay, I think we should be good.
There's not gonna be any tents or
No,
strictly.
it's open air. Actually, the tables, the dining tables will be out there, and we'll be doing the jousting. We're gonna stop it right at the corner of my house and the corner of Willow. What's that?
The other thing I point out,
Bob,
your question was brought about insurance, if they are using the street and they're doing some activity on the street, if someone gets hurt, you might wanna double
Okay.
check that.
Well, you know, we may ask you for an insurance binder, okay? If you could check, and we'll check as well. All right, and we can do that. Assuming that an insurance binder is taken care of either one way or the other, is there a motion from the board?
I'll make the motion.
Bobby? Second, Rick? Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that's gonna be a good time. Now, did you bring up, or Chief, were you concerned about parking? Is that what you were talking about?
Just the parking end of it, just so, I mean, if there's an overflow of parking going on, people start calling, they're just aware of it.
Well, I'm friends with Wes, so I can talk to him about it, plus I have parking at my house, so it's no big deal.
Well, and I think the other issue that we'd wanna just make sure was clear was, you know, the need for any emergency vehicles just getting down the street. So we'd wanna make sure that that could still happen.
It's legal to park on, on First Street from First to Willow anyway. There is parking on that side of the street. I believe, right, Bob?
Yeah.
It's legal to park that way, so that'll allow some of that, plus, I know there's not a lot on the other side,
Right.
because it's somebody's driveway there on the corner of First.
Well, there's access around to get on Railroad Avenue.
Oh, right, yeah, I know.
Follow the training, go down
Yeah,
around
we're
Sudan
not-
Street.
I know what you're talking about, yeah.
Okay,
Sudan
so this
Street
we need
to First Street will still be open.
Right, well, that's cool, so still have access, that's fine.
I have one more question. With the parking, if they ask the building, the person owns the building near where they are, that we're not
No.
liable for anything if something happens, people fall down or whatever, trying to get up there or whatever. I just wanna make sure that
Someone
all of
falls
a
off
sudden
a
we don't get
solar house,
we
yeah.
don't get a phone call and find out that, you know,
Yeah, that's a good
that
point.
we're liable, so.
My concern is just the activities of joust and stuff on the street itself, that's something
Okay.
to make sure.
Yeah, a rider sure would take care of that.
Okay.
Majority of us are
Okay.
over 50. I don't think that,
That makes me more
if they can even get on the sawhorse.
So I think what we're asking you to do, we've approved closing off the street, but we would like you to check with your insurance company and just get a rider and bring a copy of that rider just to the clerk's office.
Okay.
And that would be great. It sounds like a terrific time.
I hope so.
Okay,
Congratulations.
Thank you.
again,
Go down and take some pictures if you want. I've planned this long enough.
all right. Hope the weather cooperates. Anyone else to be heard? Okay, we're gonna move on to treasurer's report.
The treasurer's report for the period ending August 31st. Our percentages are, for the most part, between 20 and 30%, which is where they should be for the first quarter of the year. The only thing that needs to be mentioned is that even though department heads have had approved purchases for their departments, in the current budget coming up, our two largest debt payments occur in August and October, totaling almost $500,000, so cash flow is an issue, and spending should be spread out throughout the year when possible for purchases, so that's the only issue between these 2 months, but everything else seems to be right on course for the first quarter of the year.
Okay. Is there a motion to accept that report?
Motion.
Second, thank you. Second, Bobby. Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion's carried. Police report?
Yes, for the month of August through September, we had a total of 86 calls. There were 9 assistance calls to other agencies, that don't include outside the village. 2 property damage auto accidents, 3 drug arrests, 1 suspicious person, 1 shots fired, 3 open doors, there was 1 DWI arrest, 8 domestics, 1 endanger and welfare check, unwanted guests, there was 1, 7 larcenies, 14 EMS calls, 1 fire call, 2 harassments. There's 6 total investigations, there was 1 code enforcement landlord dispute, 3 criminal mischiefs, there was 2 sex registrars here in the village, and also we've updated our list, so it's available for anybody who wishes to come in to look. We constantly update that list with people coming and going. 1 assault, 1 warrant arrest, 7 animal complaints, 3 mental health cases, 1 property retrieval, 7 civil matters. We had a total of 9 arrests. They range from driving while intoxicated to gang assault. The gang assault was a drug deal that went down in the village. It went bad, and they set up an individual here in the village to retrieve the cash, and our officers responded shortly after we were able to make the arrest of 2 individuals, and there's a warrant out for the 3rd individual at this time. We were awarded for our DWI vests again for the upcoming year. We got awarded $4,500 that will cover any vests for officers that are coming on the job, any new officers, as well as any updated. The vests are worth for 5 years. After 5 years, they run out, and we're covered for that 5 years. So we're covered for that. On the positive note, there was a fundraiser in the city of Troy for one of our officers. The mayor was able to come down. It was well attended down there.
It's great.
The count right now is at $35,000. That is great.
Phenomenal.
Officer culinary, and with additional fundraising going on. He worked today. He starts another treatment tomorrow. From what my conversation with him and his mother is, it's looking positive. They are going to be going over to Boston for some further follow-up. So things are looking good for him on that. The mayor, I'm sure, wanted to speak a little bit afterwards about what he's seen down there, but it was great. It was a really good turnout. I'd like just to talk about, not your Railroad Avenue, Railroad Avenue up in Cary. I'm noticing down there, in the past, we've had questions about parking on, if you're going down on the left-hand side along the tracks. And I know there was always a question because it was owned by the railroad. What I'm finding though is the overgrowth of the brush and everything is getting bigger and bigger, which is pushing cars
It's all cut down
back.
now.
Oh, it's all cut.
They cleared it out, and they are parking, but sometimes I have issues with them parking in the middle of the road, and you know about it.
Right.
I've called
What
it
I'm
times.
suggesting, what I thought was, since they didn't, when I was down there the other day.
I suggest no parking on
that
the whole street.
What I was thinking of is because of the brush in there, I didn't think they were gonna come down and clean it out.
Oh, yeah,
And I thought
they
that would be
tore
our
out, they
out.
tore a lot of.
But what it was, is people were starting to park further and further on the road.
But the problem with that, you're gonna defer them to come down around the turnabout, and they're all gonna park down there now, and I don't want that to happen, because they got a driveway, they can put all their cars in that driveway.
But we don't have anything to argue with them when they do park over there,
Right.
with them parking.
Right,
So
okay,
if
I
we can
understand
explore
that, but you're
that-
gonna push them down, farther down to where that turnabout is, and it's gonna make it a big hassle. The garbage truck has to come down, turn
Well,
around.
going down and turning around is one thing, going down and parking is another. So if we can maybe explore from Cary right on down to the turnaround, that we're parking on that side or along with railroad tracks. Or I think it's gonna benefit, not just you, but everybody in there.
On that street, you're right,
And
because
it's
if
gonna
there's an
help, God
emergency,
forbid, if there's an
Gail's on the
emergency
end of
down
that
there.
street, and if there's an emergency, you gotta get through there.
We've got,
Because you know that telephone pole is in a bad spot where it shouldn't be.
I just think we need to explore that about.
That's fine,
no parking
you
area
know, it's
down
up to
there.
the board, whatever
So
suggestion,
you're
whatever Neil.
suggesting,
I'm
uh,
suggesting that we put no parking from Cary on that railroad side all the way down around the turnaround, so there'd be no parking anywhere on the left or alongside the railroad.
It's a dead end street where,
Even down by
you
you?
know, yeah,
No parking down by you too?
that whole side
Yeah.
there, because they love to
on the
park.
track side?
On the track side.
Right, they
And
love to
obviously
park
they gotta
on
come
that.
down and turn around,
Mhm.
that's not a problem.
And for the winter time, it makes it hard for Neil when he's plowing and stuff too, so.
Okay.
And if there is, God forbid, an elderly lady that lives down along with the daycare, if we have to get down in there, it's gonna be a nightmare.
Is Neil still there?
Yeah, he's right there.
Neil, you've heard what the chief was proposing. Any issues from your perspective with doing that?
I didn't want to parking totally on the street.
You would what? I'm sorry.
Eliminate parking totally on the street.
No parking on either side?
The railroad right away, right down the center, it's flat top.
Okay. But just to the question itself, so you would have no issues with no parking on the track side? In fact, you're recommending no parking on both sides? Okay.
Now, on Cary Avenue, what do you mean, on the right-hand side going up, or, is that what you're talking about, Neil?
The whole
Up,
street.
up to
no
that
parking.
corner, yeah, up to that, well, they still park on that corner anyways, cause you got no parking from here to corner, and they still park right on that corner. And if these guys, somebody comes flying around with a big truck,
That's what I did, but no parking on both sides.
I don't have a problem with that, but it's just gonna
Okay.
upset a lot of people.
So Highway Department, Police Department
I'm with Neil.
don't have any objections to that,
You're also dealing with the railroad.
right?
property, you know.
So
They-
technically, people
you
are
should
parking
be
on the
parking
railroad property. That's what you're saying.
Problem of it is that for us to reach out if we're parking there and try to get the railroad to file a complaint, it's almost next to impossible.
Yeah. It's not
Track them
very
down
difficult to
and
deal with,
sign
very
off
difficult.
that they want the vehicle removed.
Well, that
Okay.
caused a problem with the parking on that street there where they got the orange signs up already that says no parking, the railroad, by the mill there, by the Lovejoy. They park in there when they work, that's all railroad property too, but it's just,
That's between Lovejoy and the railroad.
okay, whatever they got set up. See, I don't know what they have set up, but that they do have signs along there that says no parking.
I think maybe this might take care of a lot of the problems
Okay.
from
So let me just ask a question in terms of if we want to set up, if the board wants to set up no parking, whether it's on this street or another street, John, does that require any type of a change in a local law?
Well, you have to have local law, but the other thing is that if, I think I'm hearing that all or part of this is a railroad right of way, am I correct?
That's what yes.
You can't you can't put, no parking signs up on private property like that. We would I have to do some research to see what, if anything, we need, but at the very least, obviously, you're gonna have to involve the railroad in this, and you know how much fun that's gonna be.
Okay, well, could you do the research on that piece? We could make some contacts just to see what's involved. And then when we get that information, bring that back to the board, okay?
Yeah, that,
All right?
the other thing that would be helpful would be, just an email which would show basically what you want to do in the local law. In other words, from what to what, is it on the west side, on the south side, on the east side, on the north side?
Okay,
So we know what we're talking about here.
okay.
Well, if we're talking about the whole road, we're gonna be talking about
Just railroad, just railroad avenues. It's railroad property.
So
Tr-
is that on the
Cary
east
Avenue
side?
is-
And the west side, and the north side, and the south
No
side?
parking on that road.
Well, I understand that, but we
So-
always, we always put in whether it's north,
It'd be
south, east, and west.
So it sounds like what we would need is, if maybe between the two of you, the two departments, yeah, just a simple drawing showing where we would want and how far down, so that we then, John has something just specific that he
Yeah,
can
and
research.
Just a very brief description of why you wanna do this, because sometimes it's nice to be able to have a little backup that I can put into the local law itself as to why the board feels that this is a health and safety issue.
Okay, all right, so we'll do that
Just something simple.
and bring that information back to the board.
Do we need to have a public hearing on that?
Well, eventually, yes.
Okay.
Okay, so we'll wait though till we get some more information. Okay, all right. Anything else, chief?
No.
Okay. Is there a motion to accept the chief's report?
Motion?
Second.
Ben, Bobby, second. Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We accepted that report. Code enforcement report, please.
Building permits, issued 1 for the month, various inspections, 42, opened up 25 complaints, and we were able to close out 12, so the file section of my office is still growing. But, so we're still moving forward, I think. We have a protocol, we did 3 pre-tenant inspections, but a lot of those, the pre-tenant inspections, when people are calling, I'm actually kind of steering them toward more of the biannual inspections, because so many of these properties haven't been inspected biannually as they're required. So you'll see I did 8 biannual inspections, just an effort to have the whole property looked at and cleared. The notice of violations that I issued were 17, and oftentimes when I find violations, like with the biannual inspection and things like that, I don't actually issue a violation. I'll make a list of what needs to be repaired. They'll complete the list, either re-inspect, or I'll ask them to sign off on the list that they've completed everything. Sometimes they're just minor things, and then close it out. So not issuing as many notice of violations because of that, but that doesn't mean that there's not a lot of work going on. There's a lot of work going on. So,
Okay.
been staying very busy. The mayor can attest the amount of work that we're putting into the American House and the things that we need to do there. Is time consuming. John can attest to that as well. So, but we're moving forward on that project as well. Does anybody have any questions for me? Or
The board have any questions? No?
if anybody sees anything, I mean, some of you guys are really good about seeing things and getting them to me. I may not get done that day, but I put it on a list. Yes. I do put it on a list, and I try and prioritize and get the things, when I can, but I do get them. I do get most of them.
Mark, the
Okay.
one that I contacted you, emailed you about, on Griffin, is
Yeah.
that in, cause they're in there again, so I know there's,
Well, I know, but they did everything by the book. The
okay,
inspections-
good, that's all I wanna make
inspections
sure,
were done.
okay.
And then, I recommended maybe put up a hedge.
Like a wall, yeah.
You know.
No, okay, I just wanna make, I saw them again Sunday, and I just wanna make sure, so,
Yes, I
Okay.
mean, those apartments, are up to go.
okay, thank you.
Any other questions? On the board? Okay, I just wanted to mention that the building inspector just completed 3 days of training. It's required training by New York State, and there'll be more coming up
Next set is October.
in October. Well, 2 weeks.
The middle of October.
Okay, another month, okay, all right. Is there a motion to accept this report?
And second?
Bob, was it? Bob? Bobby, second. Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Report is accepted, thank you. Clerk's report?
We've been very busy with the water program, and the mayor knows all about that. Amazingly, between the 3 of us entering and whatnot, we are right up to date with our water payments, et cetera. amazingly is, you just don't understand.
A lot of work has gone into it, a lot of work.
Going very well. There were 10 family homes within the month, last month. Actually, one of them on the list here closes the 28th. A lot of young people buying the homes. And a lot of, as I told the mayor, a lot of children of people who live here are buying homes. So, that's a good number, 10.
It is, very good.
Closings
In the month?
in September,
Other than that,
in
it's just
August, I'm
normal.
sorry. In
Yeah.
August?
Yeah,
Yeah, through,
Yeah.
yeah.
that's it.
Okay, any,
Water bills are due in next week.
they've been
21st, right?
coming in.
Was it first?
22nd?
The water bill is due. Somebody was
They are due by the 21st,
21st.
without penalty.
Is there a motion to accept the clerk's report?
Motion.
Ben?
Second.
Second, Karen, thank you. Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion's carried, thank you. Community Services Report?
Oh. Yes, I heard that. Hold on. You can move on to the next one.
No, we just don't stare. No pressure.
You take a notes.
No. Okay, I don't have the specifics, but I do know that our community services officer has been busy. Again, he works very closely with the courts. The hours were down, I think, totally for this past month from previous month. And it's been a question of scheduling, but people have been doing outside jobs as well as inside jobs. Oh God, I shouldn't have said that. You know exactly what I mean, all right? Working inside and outside, all right? Jerry and I took a ride, this is bad. Jerry and I took a ride around the village, just looking at different areas where community services could be utilized, and we've prioritized a number of them. The village benefits significantly from community services in terms of labor, in terms of jobs that are completed and finished, and we have an excellent working relationship with our local courts on that, so that's going to continue. So they'll be doing more, and when we find the report, we'll enter it into the record.
Yeah,
Okay?
one last bit.
All right. Minutes, we have the June 9th minutes that were sent out. A little behind in getting the minutes current, but working on it. I hope everyone's had the opportunity to look at those June 9th minutes.
I did,
I did, and there was
Bobby
one-
wasn't at the meeting, but I got my Bob R's and my Bob D's a little mixed up.
I read the minutes and I read the.
Okay, switch
I
them
was
around.
absent
That's
and
noted.
and I made the motion, it was Bob Down. I
So-
just wanted to,
With that correction, is there a motion to accept those minutes?
I'll make that motion.
Bob?
Or,
Second.
Second, Karen, thank you. Further discussion?
my Bob R's and D's.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we're gonna move into committee reports. Bob, start with
Okay,
you.
I do have a meeting the 29th, and I'm gonna find out, they are gonna start charging us after the first year for electronics, but I don't know how much.
Ah,
But that's the
Up
email I
until
got.
now.
I got about a couple weeks ago, I got an email, so he held them off till the first of the year, so we're gonna see what's gonna happen, so.
all right,
I'll
see,
find out what's gonna happen, and I'll report back in October to the
okay.
meeting, so.
Anything new on paint?
No, I haven't heard nothing more on that, and it doesn't seem to be.
Did you get that?
Okay.
The New York one, I don't know if
Yeah,
we wanna
that
really,
reused
yeah,
paint,
I don't know if I
something,
really wanna get involved in that one, cause you never know what they have and how far it'll go with how much money they got. Wow, dance.
Okay,
I'm all set.
all right. That's it, Bob?
Yep.
Okay, Karen, anything?
I have nothing, my only is a question about Rogers Avenue, the paving. Neil?
Paving on Rogers Avenue?
By this week,
He
Did you
just
run?
left.
by this week.
Neil, I need the date. My phone is ringing off the hook. Yeah, you heard, I told him I'm going to get my steamroller out, right, and start myself, or what? I know.
So
I
when,
can rent one.
when do you anticipate it'll be?
Yeah.
Friday morning?
This Friday morning? All right.
Okay.
Not,
You beat me
of
to
not
it,
October, the
Drain the
18th.
water all into your house.
Yeah, I know. No, trust me, the neighbors up there are wild. Home Street, same thing. Are you repairing? Are you, are you repairing on Home Street too? Okay. And Rogers on Dale Street. All right. And I will be around on Friday, Neil, to serve you coffee, okay?
She's gonna be watching you.
You cracking the whip.
Huh? The coffee, don't believe that.
All right,
Okay.
and that's it. They, just a lot of neighbors inquiring up on the hill and what's going on, and,
Yep.
you know, I think they were told the end of August, and August is come and gone.
Okay. There were some issues, but we're still responsible. All right, but it's still our responsibility to get it done, so Friday,
Hey,
Right?
another question out in front.
Friday,
With the,
okay.
the solar panel, and it tilted it over the bench.
That bench is gonna be moved.
Okay. Do you know, again, how many people have stopped me on the street and said, what is up with that? They're trying to get people to sit there and get their, you know,
Yeah.
during a storm and,
Yeah.
No.
yeah, snow,
What's
anything.
going on with the display right now is that we are, actually, I'm gonna get into it in a little bit. But a landscaping plan is being put together for Monolith, so they'll come in and landscape around that. That bench will be moved and put
We
underneath.
assume so, but,
And then we also have a plaque that actually Rick did some drafting work on and put together. It's gonna be on that pole. And the pole is going to be painted a darker green. Monolith said they would paint it green. We didn't realize it would be their neon color, which you could see, you know, from the space station. So it's gonna be painted a darker green, and actually Jerry and the gang are going to take care of
but that
that.
has been a big concern of
So-
downtown, you know, like.
Well,
what
and
is
that's
up with
okay.
that?
I'm glad people see it.
Aren't you glad you retired,
Huh?
Karen?
I know, but more calls than ever.
All right.
That's it.
Okay, Ben?
Josh is going for his grade distribution, his grade D license coming up next month, the 13th and the 14th. And the water department was not able to have a part-timer during the summer, so now they have one in the early fall. Jake Caliano, who was, he was an intern, right? He was an intern, has been hired part-time for up to 25 hours, and that money was budgeted for the summertime, but now they're gonna use it partially in the fall. As far as cable is concerned, I've talked about this on a few different meetings. The proposed merger, I feel like that sometimes, the proposed merger between Charter Communications and Time Warner Cable is moving forward. They are having some information sessions and some statement hearings. And unfortunately, because the meeting wasn't last Tuesday, it's this Tuesday, there is a meeting coming up on Thursday in Delmar at the Bethlehem Town Hall. Now, the 6 o'clock hour is for information, 7 o'clock the hearing begins, and what's gonna happen is folks are gonna be able to make public statements. They will solicit comments from stakeholders. The hearings are open to the public. They'll have an information session consisting of presentations by commission staff and a formal public statement, and then information that they receive during the hearings will be transcribed and included in the case record. Now, there's gonna be 3 meetings coming up. The first one's in Delmar. I wish it was a week later, but it's not. It's the 17th. There'll be one in New York City on the 21st, and then one in Williamsville, which I think is out near Buffalo, on the 24th. So, folks that wanna make comments about this, and you can, about the upcoming merger, you can submit them via the internet or in writing, and it's really easy to do. I went in on the website today and followed the instructions, very simple to do. Right now, there's 23 public comments there that you can click on and look and see what people are saying about the merger coming up. If you go onto their website, and what I did was, I made copies, so if folks wanna take these, they can take them with them and get more information. They're asking for comment by tomorrow, but all the comments will become part of the record. so says the commission. So, if you wanna make comments, you can do that either online, or you can do that on a phone number. It's an opinion line, and the number is 800-335-2120. And if you put the case number in there, then you can leave your comment. So, I'm going to try and get information from them about the meeting. I'm not sure if I can be there on Thursday, but hopefully I'll have some more information next month, because by that time, all 3 meetings will have taken place, and they'll be able to get the comments from the public and whoever else wants to weigh in on it. So again, it's not a done deal yet. They're still in their fact-finding mission, but it certainly looks more promising than what it did earlier in the year when it wasn't Charter, it was Comcast. So everything seems to be moving in a forward direction. It still doesn't mean anything for us as far as 2017 is concerned. That's when our cable franchise agreement is up with whomever will have it at that point. Charter has said that they will take on all of Time Warner's people, lines, everything else. The main thing that I got out of what I read was that Charter not only intends to retain all of Time Warner's existing assets, but the petitioners are asserting that New York consumers will benefit from the merger because of the introduction of Charter's all-digital platforms to Time Warner's customers, additional service offerings, and faster broadband. So, again, it sounds positive. You never know until you get all the way through it. But at this point, that's where we are. So if anybody wants to make any comments, please, if you want more information, take that. And you can go right in line, you can click on it, and they'll give you all the information that you need. So,
Okay.
How about Nesson then?
I'm not sure if that's
Wrong
part
side
of
of
the,
the border, my
not sure.
friend.
Well, I mean, technically, they're gonna take all of Time Warner's cable customers. So, I mean, again, that'll be down the road, so we'll have to see. But if we can get the Red Sox for you, Bobby, gosh darn it, we're gonna do it. Not that there's not other people at this table that are Red Sox fans, Kevin.
No.
Myself, so that's it for me.
Okay. Okay, we'll keep going here. Rick? Thank you, Ben. Yep.
Hoosick River Greenway, I ordered the directional signs to be mounted on the street to let people know where the trail access is, and also the signs that, for no camping and no open fires on the Greenway. I did not find out from Graphitech, I'm working with a local supplier, which is a
Good.
plus,
Yep.
when those signs will be coming in, but I expect to know by the Hoosick River Greenway meeting next Wednesday at 6 o'clock. As you're aware, of course, the berm permit is progressing again.
Mm-hmm.
Put some considerable work into that the past couple of weeks. And it has been submitted again, right? Yeah, it's been submitted again with guidance from DEC, so hopefully this time around, I know this is our third time trying to do it, we're gonna actually get an answer from them on whether we can use the top of the berm for the Greenway officially. Winter's coming up, so I think we're gonna have to approach the county snowmobile club, since we've never gotten an agreement from the Hoosick Snowmobile Club to make it official, so that we can open up the northern section of the trail come winter time. I know that Tony Rice from the town has told me that he's a member of the Rensselaer Snowmobile Club, and I'm gonna talk to him and see how we can further that process. Letters for the front of the building where it says municipal building, it goes across the door. They have arrived. I have brought them to my house, measured them out, so I know how to lay them all out and everything. I'm expecting to get those up first week of October. There's gonna have to be some painting out there, so I'll be talking to Jerry about
Yeah, because he said he would work with you on that.
right, about community service guys doing that. And last thing, while we're on my committee report, this isn't official committee thing, but we'll have the floor. How do you all feel about the chairs in this room? Not loving them. The New York State Office of Government Services, OGS, has an auction going right now for 23 stackable chairs, similar to what they have at the Hoosick Falls Fire Department. Currently, the bidding is up to $48 for 23 chairs, and the rack to
sit on.
move them around. It's a wheeled rack. Auction ends tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock. I would like permission to bid on that auction, on the chairs. I will bid myself. If I win them, I'll just submit a bill to be reimbursed by the village.
You gonna double the price?
I do not know how much they're gonna go. Last time I saw a set was when Matt Monahan was mayor, and they went for over $200. I don't think that I'm willing to go that high, but if I can get them for around $150, you're looking at probably less than $7 a chair for stackable chairs, and they are Hoosick Falls blue, which is a plus. I think we should go for it, and I just need permission from the board to bid on those chairs.
I make that motion for sure. That's money well spent.
Do we wanna put any type of a not to exceed number?
$1 million.
Yeah.
You know, it's tough to say on these things. Like I said, right now, they're up to $48, and it ends tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock. So I don't expect there's just gonna be a flurry of bidding
Nobody's gonna sit there
tonight.
find in the bids.
I don't know, they have over there.
But, you know, I figure if we can get them for under $200, it's still a deal.
Not to exceed $200.
Not to exceed 200.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay,
Second
I'll
it.
make that motion.
I'll
Okay,
second.
second, Karen, thank you. Further discussion?
Have you seen these chairs?
Just in pictures. I
Yeah.
have not gone,
Metal
'cause
stack.
I just came across it. They
Yeah.
look just like the chairs that they have at the fire department, those stackable
The
chairs.
ones at the fire department are very solid chairs, and
Yeah.
they're sturdy, and they're definitely durable.
And they match.
Yep.
Okay, so we had first, we have a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, go for it.
Okay,
Anything else?
that's it for me.
Bobby?
Just a little bit on the highway. So this will show a little cooperation between the town and the village. The town graded the sewer plant road for us because, you know, to get it back in working condition or better condition than it was, which is, thank you, Mark, and the highway crew. That's great. Neil did painting of the crosswalks, prepared the Rogers Avenue for paving for Karen. And removed some trees from the river along the flood wall, and did some pothole patching, and he's got a whole list of future plans as far as getting ready for spring, or fall, the leaf pickup, and getting all the equipment ready, and unfortunately, I hate to say it, getting ready for winter as well.
Yeah, we
so,
know what's coming.
But,
Bobby, did he ever get those signs? Weren't you talking about signs for snow removal? Like,
I think that we
Yes, we have
made
the
the motion on that
permanent-
last month, so I
yeah,
don't
no,
know if
I
they've
mean,
come in
did
yet.
they come in and
Is
everything?
Neil out there?
Yep.
Yep.
He's walking
Did he
away.
get 'em?
Hello?
He's running.
Oh, he's gonna
He's
bring one in.
running.
We
I
have
don't need
over,
one, Neil, I just wanna know
we
if you
have
get 'em.
over 100
Yeah.
Oh, good,
of
good.
permanent
They're here.
snow emergency signs, and they're gonna be put up throughout the village. Temporary ones will probably still be used in particular areas as needed, but we do have those.
Nice.
There you go.
They're nice.
All right.
Perfect.
Way to go, Neil, how'd you know I was gonna ask that?
Anything else, Bob?
No, Bob took care of the police report, so I'm all set there.
Okay, the only thing I wanna add to your report, and you weren't aware of this, but I did ask Jerry to take some photos of the crosswalks on Route 22.
Oh, right, I remember
And
the email I
they've
saw.
really been wearing again. Last year, New York State DOT came in and redid them, and they just take a pounding, especially on the corners.
Right.
So we took some photos, sent them in. I've heard from DOT. They are waiting the approval, but they gave me the impression that they anticipate that will happen, and they're gonna come in and they will do the Route 22 crosswalks
They are in
again.
good shape, yeah.
So, hope we'll keep that going.
Yep, good.
Okay?
Yep.
Kevin?
Continue to work with NIMO on lighting issues. Some of these go back almost 2 years.
Yes, indeed.
And one was the light at the corner of River Road and River Street. The pole was too short, the base, and it didn't reach over the road, so they extended that over the road, so now it actually lights up the road. And also got back to us on the poles on Mechanic Street. There's 3 poles which were redundant after the Route 22 project. And they are telling us that the estimated cost to remove these 3 lights will be $2,744.96. And if they can do it less costly, they'll give us a refund. Doesn't cost anything to put them up, but it costs money to take them
Take them
down.
down. And they want us to pay the money to take them down?
Up front.
Ah,
Yeah.
we're in the wrong business.
Between the railroad and them.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. Anything else?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, well, thank you, thank you. Old business, Bob, would you see if the chief is available?
I think
No,
he
he
Did he go? Okay,
I think
so,
I'm taking off.
He was in a hurry.
okay, he was in a hurry, okay. We've got the police car donation, I did speak with him about that, it's still being prepped. I haven't received, we haven't received it yet, but all the work is being done on it, so, okay. The water update letter, when the water bills went out, I included a letter. This would be the third update that we've sent, and that really included all of the details. So everyone who pays a water bill did receive that detailed information. But just to let you know, the village to date has spent $60,000 plus on different issues involving the PFOA in the water system. We have also we're continuing to work with MRB. We have submitted a request to New York State through the EFC, Economic Financial Council, I'm not sure exactly what it stands for.
Facilities.
Environmental Facility, FTC,
Yeah.
okay. Anyway, to get on the list for permanent funding to do that, there's a process. It is not a quick process, but we have done that. So we're waiting to hear, we hope to hear by December. We'll see where that goes. I think most people are aware that Saint-Gobain is also doing some testing, some sampling testing, both for water samples as well as for the earth samples. They will be sharing that information with us. We also have MRB working with them, monitoring that. They hope to have the results of those samples by the end of this month. So once that comes out, we'll get all of that information out to people. So that's where we stand. We're doing absolutely everything that we can. We are still not out of compliance at all. That is still the issue. I've spoken with staff of every one of our elected officials at all levels. They are aware of this situation, and right now we have to see what the results are gonna be when it comes back in terms of whether or not we make the list and why we did or did not make the list, and we'll go from there, okay? At the last board meeting, and maybe the one before, there was a discussion about the speed limit out front on Main Street, and Neil, you had put up one of those, it's not a cone, but the slow down.
Slow down.
And that certainly helped. I asked the police chief, highway department, as well as the village attorney, in terms of whether or not, in their opinion, we needed to pursue reducing the speed on Main Street, which right now is 30 miles an hour. And all three indicated that the focus should be on enforcing the speed limit, the current speed limit initially. So the chief has said that they are doing that, so we want to give that a little bit of time to see how effective or ineffective that turns out to be regarding the speed limit. We'll get that information back within the next 3 to 6 months, and we'll take a look at it, and then we can make a further decision from there. Okay. I'm going to request a motion, and this involves, actually, we're going to need a resolution, because, excuse me, as we go forward with the second stage of our zoning update, and you'll remember this from some of the past things that we've done, we need to indicate that we wish to be the lead agency in this, and there would only be a couple of other agencies that might want to, or entities that might want to, take that over, and B&L would follow up with them to confirm that. So I'm asking for a resolution to establish the village as the lead agency for the zoning update project. Ann has the actual resolution right here. And we've got lots of whereases, and let me just go to the, be it further resolved, the village caused a letter in part 1 of the full EAF to be sent to other potentially involved agencies and interested agencies, as those quoted directly from the regulations. The village board desires for us to serve as the lead agency. This is all part of the seeker review process, which is a mandated requirement in terms of New York State. So it's something that we need to go through and need to do. We do not anticipate any other agencies saying, no, we'd rather do it. And this should move along fairly quickly. So I would ask for a motion.
Motion?
Ben, is there a second?
Second.
Rick, second? Okay. Any further discussion?
Roll call, Bob?
Then we'll take the roll call vote.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Okay, all right, thank you. Under new business, I'm gonna ask for another resolution, and this one's a little tricky, just because of the way it's set up. Some of you may have heard that the governor has put out a $500 million jackpot, if you will, for the different regions of the state, and there are basically 3 regions, to compete for this money. And what he's asking the region, and our region is quite large. It goes all the way from Lake George down to well through Columbia County, Schenectady, Albany counties. A few weeks ago, I participated in a conference call with a group that's headed up by Kathy Jimino, our executive, county exec, as well as Kathy Sheehan, the mayor of Albany. And for the last few months, they and the different municipalities have been working towards trying to put a regional plan together, okay, that would develop and would entice and would cause economic growth within our region. But it can't be the kind of plan where you say, well, if we get this money, we'll build 4 roads. You've got to be very specific about, you know, what kind of business you want to bring in, how it's going to have an impact, what it's going to do. Now, there is a group from the Hoosick community who is also looking at this, and I've been in contact with them, and because they want to be part of this, and it's some local business people that are looking at it. I've given them the information that the county exec had put out there, and there are very, very tight time frames. The local region, the Capital District region, has actually gone ahead and hired some planners to start working on this. The preliminary draft has to be in, I want to say October 3rd, it's like the first week in October. And the county exec, as well as the mayor of Albany, as chairpersons for this group, are asking all the municipalities within the Capital District region to put forth a resolution that says, in concept, we support economic development in our area. Now, it's difficult because I can't say to you, you know, it's gonna mean 1,600 jobs for Hoosick Falls, and it's gonna mean this, and it's gonna mean that. But if we were to get any of that $500 million, not we, but if the capital region were to get any of that money, there would be an impact. There really would. And what they're also saying is that everything that's being planned for and put together for this competition, if you will, that information will then be readily available for the next go-around of state grants, which will start up in the late spring and early summer. So it's not a lost effort. So I know that's not specific information, I really don't have specific information, but what they're looking for is a show of support within the entire capital region for this type of an endeavor. So with that said, I would ask for a motion.
So moved.
Second.
That was Bobby, okay. Kevin, second. Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Well, we now need to take a roll call because this does need to be in a form of a resolution.
Bob?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Not quite on such a grand scale, but we have a request from RGI Insurance. They want to use a section of the Church Street parking lot on Tuesday, October 20th. And what they're going to do is they're going to hold a free vehicle identification number etching, which will be done on the glass of individual cars. I don't know if they put the VIN number on or exactly what they do, but they're going to have professionals come in and do that. So we wanted to use part of, I thought it was at the actual road between the firehouse, but they've changed it a little bit.
From the Sutton House, that parking lot, that parking area right there.
From the gate?
On the
Okay,
south side.
all right.
Yeah.
Okay, so pretty much directly across the street
Right.
from them. Okay,
Yep.
so they'd like to use that area parking lot for this. So is there a motion?
Motion.
Karen, thank you. Second? Rick?
Second?
Okay, further discussion?
Is there jousting?
No, jousting's on
curious.
Railroad Ave, right? Okay.
Gonna add some roses or something on my
Hey,
way?
I think we
You'll have to
started
talk to
something
them.
really cool and new.
We had a first, we had a second, further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we'll let RGI know that that has been approved. Okay, some other things that we've been working on, looking for a motion, we need to schedule a public hearing for local law number 2 of 2015, which will repeal local law 2 of 2011 on the various stop signs throughout the second ward. I believe I got a copy of that out to everybody electronically, so you can take a look at that. John has been working on that, but we do have to follow through with the public hearing. I would propose that we just add that public hearing onto our October meeting.
I'll make that motion.
Second?
Bobby, Ben? Okay, further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that is carried, thank you. We also have a motion regarding, and again, the village attorney is working on this. FEMA and DEC are looking at the new floodplains. We have certain deadlines that we have to meet, and we have to modify our current floodplain law. To do that, the village attorney is working on that, but we need a motion to formalize that so that we'll be able to show FEMA and company that this was done correctly as we go forward. So is there a motion? Bob, thank you. Second, Karen. Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that is carried. We mentioned a little bit about the American House, and let me just give you a quick overview. Obviously, if you've been by the American House, you've seen that it's roped off. The yellow tape is there and cones are there to stay away. Okay. We've had an engineer take a look at that. The engineer says that the building should come down. It's starting, it is more than starting. It is deteriorated significantly. The assumption under New York state law is that if you can't specifically prove that asbestos is present, you have to assume that it is. And the building is in such disrepair that it's very dangerous to go inside. Building inspector's been taking the lead on this. We've contacted a number of different contractors that specialize in this type of thing. We've received some quotes from them. I've also been in touch with the Department of Labor, who is actually the overall authority for New York State. They have been assisting us. The first step, obviously, was the engineering report. We've done that. The next step is to look at what's referred to as an asbestos designer. So if you want your house designed with it's an asbestos designer, and what they do is they take a look at the property in question, and they make the determinations of, well, if there's asbestos here, we assume there is, you just can't knock it down. You have to do this section first, you have to do things in certain order. So we are getting quotes in that from them. Department of Labor has also said that should the decision be made to formally, and we have not made that decision, and that'll come before the board, but should the decision be made to formally take that down, then we can apply for what's called a variance, which allows a much less expensive cost. Basically what happens is when it's taken down, the brick and the timbers can be separated out from the actual asbestos. The brick and timbers still need to be cleaned, and they will be, but whatever else is left over has to be fried. Yeah, I said that right. Fried. And there are only certain places, I think there's one in this state, that does that, and you pay by the pound. So if you can eliminate the bricks and the heavy timbers, you've reduced the cost significantly. So we're looking at that. As part of the whole process, the owner of record has been notified a number of times and has actually responded in terms of receiving one of our letters. But that's a big step. What we're going to be doing, as you know, we're going to be holding a public hearing, and I believe that's the 28th, Monday. Is that a Monday, maybe? The 28th, because that's part of the process at 6 p.m. where the owner or his representative is invited here. At that point, we'll share all the information we have with the board, and the board will then make a determination as to which way we wanna go and what we need to do. So, what we need to do right now is I'm asking for a motion to hold a public hearing, to formalize what we had already talked about for the 28th.
Motion?
Ben, thank you. Bobby, second. Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That is carried. Okay, we finally get to the next race. We do have a request for a second race, and Civicure and Hasty 3 are working together to present the Rolf Sternberg 5K road race. This race has occurred last year as well, I believe. And they're looking to hold this on Saturday, the 26th, beginning at 9 a.m. and starting at the Wood Park. So we'd be following, basically.
Well, we use the Wood Memorial Park.
Yep. It was a very good turnout in the past. Again, Civicure and Hasty 3 will be working together on this. It's also part of the, I think the dates, yeah, it falls right in with Hoosick and everything that's gonna be going on. So it should be a fun time. Police department's aware of it. Highway department is absolutely ecstatic, as you can see from Neil's face, for another road race. But it will work out. So I ask for a motion.
Motion.
Bob, second? Rick, second. Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that is carried. Thank you. Another bit of business here. I'm gonna look for a motion. This is the whole motion section here. It's that time again, so we need to do the court audit. I know, Bobby, the last couple you've helped out
What
with.
I think they're doing is just trying to get on our fiscal year, so
Okay.
it's just January
That's
to
fine.
May 31st.
For 6 months.
I'll do it, no problem.
So you'll do that, and we need a motion to actually go forward with that.
Motion?
Ben, thank you. Second. Kevin, thank you very much. Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay.
Same as,
That's
same,
carried.
same routine as the previous one.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
6 months though.
Okay, that's
That's
no
all.
problem. Yeah, last one was 2
Okay.
years.
Any other business to bring before the
Yeah,
board
I would,
before we go into executive session?
I forgot to mention something during my committee report, and as long as I have all the interested parties here.
Oh, I've got one thing too.
Hoosick River Greenway, it was brought to my attention, that there is a sign, I don't know how long it's been there, I don't know if it's a recent addition or if it's been there for a while, nobody ever noticed it. But it's at the southern entrance to the Hoosick River Greenway, and it says no swimming by order of the village board.
Right,
And-
we have no swimming signs that we put up.
Right.
Yeah.
Why? I guess I'm asking the question.
Liability.
Um,
We need to put something up there.
Because the
And that-
Skrupskis raised some concern about why they sold us the property for access to the river when we're denying swimming.
Well, if you, and we did discuss this previously, but the river is not our section of the river. And remember the ABC thing?
Right, but that's up to DEC's jurisdiction. I'm wondering why,
However-
by order of the village board, is on the signs. If DEC is saying no swimming, I'm fine with that. Or a
They
swim at
do,
your own risk kind of a thing.
But we need to have some liability protection, if you will, because should something happen and we're not providing any type of warning or anything like that, then the liability would be.
We're not insured for that.
So that's why we did that.
But if someone,
It's
chooses.
not a good public relations thing, though, I'll tell you right now, because there's a lot of people mad about it.
Well,
'Cause
this is
I've
the
been
first
hearing
time I've heard about it.
Right,
I've heard it.
Me too.
Yeah,
That and no ATVs.
right, that I can understand.
I think we have to look at it from an overall safety perspective.
Okay,
But let me ask you, so if someone does go swimming and something happens, the village has no liability. If they go swimming, they're not gonna, or no one's gonna enforce it, correct? I mean, we're not gonna get down there and say, you know, arrest them for swimming.
No, but what it does do is if the police are there,
Right.
driving
That's a
through,
different story, right?
so.
But
Well,
if per se,
it's
someone's down
certainly
there and gets out of
something.
their canoe and jumps in the river,
And nobody's gonna be looking for people to
Right.
do that.
Whereabouts is that sign?
it's on, near the southern terminus is the one that I saw.
It's not near Skrupski's though.
There are 3, aren't there? Yeah, there are multiple signs. So we did discuss that, and we went over that. It's certainly something we could go over again in the future, but I think it's strictly a liability and a warning type of a situation.
Right, and that was kind of what I thought it was, but, like
I
I
can
said.
understand the Skrupski's concern, but I also can understand the liability issue of,
Well, and then, you know, there, unfortunately, there was a tragedy before.
Right.
Right.
There, and the only, because there were signs that said no trespassing, that's the only thing that held it from becoming even more involved. Okay?
Certainly, but again, if it's by order of DEC, that's what it should say on the signs.
Okay, but DEC is not the one that's gonna get sued. The village will get sued.
Right.
So I think
Well-
we have to look at that.
Should say by order of the village then, not the village board, to be specific, correct?
No, it would be the village board.
Right, but I'm on the village board now. But if it's a village law, it's a village law, not a village board regulation. Correct?
It would be the same thing.
Okay.
A resolution.
Maybe
has
I'm
the
just
same
arguing
effect as a
semantics at this
local law.
point.
The only reason you do a local law is if you plan to have some kind of a fine associated with violating that law. Or you feel that it's possible that the resolution would not be remembered 100 years later. You know, because they can't find the minute books or whatever. And you see, our local laws are also filed with the Secretary of State's office, so therefore, if something happens up here, God forbid, you're still gonna be able to get access to those filed local laws at the Secretary of State's office.
Okay. I'm just
Okay.
glad that for the record, we've had this discussion. Thank you.
Okay. We're gonna move into executive session. Is there a motion to do so?
Motion?
Ben,
Can I
second.
recite the reason, sir?
Personnel?
Yes.
Thank you. Good point.
That's a good reason.
And it's right here, I just didn't read it. Ben first, is there a second?
Second?
Second, Rick, thank you. Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, that is carried. We will move into executive session.
Are you gonna do anything after?